Caden Royce had never expected anything good to happen on an ordinary Tuesday. He had spent the morning fixing broken drones at the human settlement on Kepler 19b, his hands coated in grease, and his mind wandering through the endless corridors of space he had seen on maps but never fully explored. Life had been quiet, predictable, and, frankly, lonely. Then the message arrived. It began as a simple notification on his old holocom. Caden Royce. By order of the Interstellar Council, you are hereby awarded a vessel of the highest class. Please report to Sector 7 for further instructions. He blinked. A gift? From the Council? Caden wasn't a diplomat, not a hero in the grand sense, and certainly not someone the Council noticed. His heart skipped a beat. Something told him this was bigger than it looked. By mid-afternoon, he found himself stepping onto the gleaming platform at Sector 7. The spaceport was alive with activity ships of all sizes docking, crews shouting over the hum of engines, and aliens of every imaginable shape moving about with precision. Yet, amid all this chaos, Caden felt a singular focus. The ship they had given him. It hovered silently on the platform, a marvel of design. Sleek lines of silver metal intertwined with panels that shimmered in soft blue light. He had seen ships like this in pictures, but none in real life. Its engine ports glowed faintly, a subtle reminder that it was alive, waiting. Impressive, isn't it? A voice said from behind him. Caden turned and froze. Standing there, arms crossed, was someone he had never thought he'd see again. Lyria Thal, his ex-wife, and a captain of the Thal Alliance fleet. Her violet skin gleamed under the platform lights, and her eyes, those same eyes he had once loved, narrowed slightly at his presence. Caden, she said, her voice calm, almost too calm. I was hoping I wouldn't see you here. Lyria, he said, his own voice catching. I didn't know you were still in the fleet. I'm not just in the fleet, she replied, stepping closer. I'm your captain for this mission. Caden's stomach sank. The Interstellar Council had given him a ship but also a captain. And not just any captain. His ex-wife, the one who had left him years ago, citing differences in priorities and worldview, was now in command. He felt the old pang of hurt and anger rise in his chest. How had fate, or perhaps the Council's twisted sense of humor, brought them back together like this? Guess we have no choice, Caden muttered. We work together. Lyria didn't answer immediately. She studied him, as if weighing whether he was a threat or an asset. Finally, she nodded once. We work together. That is non-negotiable. The first hours aboard the ship were tense. Caden moved through the corridors, marveling at the technology that seemed almost alive. Holographic panels responded to gestures, engines purred with an intelligence of their own, and the navigation system could chart routes faster than any human mind. Yet, every time Caden glanced at Lyria, he remembered why they had separated. She was disciplined, meticulous, and had little patience for human improvisation. Are you familiar with alien propulsion systems? She asked, her eyes scanning his ID badge and past mission reports. I've read the manuals, Caden replied cautiously, and I can figure things out. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Figuring things out will not save lives in combat. Precision saves lives. And there it was, the old friction. Caden clenched his jaw. He knew he had to prove himself. But he also knew he couldn't fight her. Not here. Not now. Their first assignment came sooner than expected. A nearby human colony on Orin 5 was reporting strange disturbances. Sensors going offline, unexplained energy readings, and ships disappearing without a trace. The Council decided this warranted immediate investigation. Prepare for departure, Lyria ordered. Her voice brooked no argument. Caden worked at the ship's controls, feeling a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Flying a ship like this was a dream. Yet sharing command with Lyria felt like stepping into a storm. Every time he tried a suggestion, she corrected him. Every time she issued an order, he wanted to argue, but didn't. As the ship lifted from the platform, the city lights of the spaceport falling away beneath them, Caden felt the weight of anticipation settle on his shoulders. Space was beautiful. Yes, but unpredictable. And now, so was Lyria. During the first hours of travel, the silence between them was almost unbearable. The hum of the engines filled the void, punctuated only by occasional status reports. Caden found himself glancing at Lyria more than he wanted to admit. Her face was still as striking as ever, though now lined with experience and authority. She was no longer the young, impulsive alien woman he had once known. She was a seasoned captain, a leader. "Caden," she said suddenly, breaking the silence. "Do you remember why we separated?" He swallowed hard. "And yet, here you are. I didn't expect this," he admitted. "But we have a job to do. Let's focus on that." She gave a small, almost imperceptible nod, and for a moment, the tension eased. They weren't married anymore. They weren't lovers. But they were still a team, whether they liked it or not. The journey to Orin 5 was filled with both wonder and unease. Caden marveled at the nebulae streaking past their shields, the distant stars painting the void in colors no human had names for. Yet, the sense of being watched, of something lurking in the unknown, gnawed at him. Lyria seemed aware of it too. Her eyes constantly scanned the sensors, her hands never far from the control panels. "Something's off," she said finally. "These readings, they're not natural." "Could it be a malfunction?" Caden suggested, though doubt filled his tone. "No," Lyria replied firmly. By the time they entered Orin 5's orbit, the colony appeared eerily silent. Communication channels were dead, docking pads were empty, and on the main sensor screen, flickering images suggested movement, but movement that was too fast, too calculated to be random. "We need to investigate," Lyria said, her voice now firm but not unkind. "But carefully. If whatever is here sees us as prey, we don't want to walk straight into its trap." Caden nodded, adrenaline surging through him. "Understood, Captain." As they suited up and prepared to descend, he caught her looking at him, and for a split second, he saw something he hadn't expected. Trust. Not complete trust, but the faintest flicker of it, buried under years of hurt and pride. The ramp lowered, and they stepped onto the silent colony. The air smelled faintly metallic, the hum of life absent. Shadows stretched along the corridors, and Caden's heart thumped in anticipation. Every corner held the possibility of danger, every doorway a secret waiting to reveal itself. "This feels wrong," Caden muttered. "It is," Lyria replied. "But we're here, and we face it together." And for the first time since they had parted, Caden felt the spark of something familiar. Not love, at least. Not yet. But a reminder of why he had fallen for her in the first place. She was brave, intelligent, and unyielding. And now, against all odds, she was standing by his side. The first footsteps into the colony echoed like a heartbeat. Somewhere in the shadows, something watched, calculated, and waited. And Caden realized that this mission, his gift, his ship, his ex-wife as captain, was only the beginning of a journey that would test everything he thought he knew about space, trust, and himself. He took a deep breath and whispered, almost to himself. Lyria gave a faint, almost imperceptible smile. Here we go, indeed. The interior of the Orin 5 colony was silent, but the silence carried a weight heavier than any sound. Caden Royce moved cautiously through the corridors, his boots making soft thuds on the metallic floor. Lyria Thal followed closely behind, her steps measured, eyes scanning every shadow. "This place. It's too quiet," Caden whispered. Lyria didn't reply immediately, She was studying a large monitor, displaying energy fluctuations in the colony's power grid. "The patterns are unusual," she finally said. "It's not just that the colony is abandoned. Someone or something has been manipulating the systems." Caden felt a shiver run down his spine. "You think it's aliens?" Lyria's gaze flicked to him, sharp and precise. "I don't know. But whoever it is, they know what they're doing, and they want to remain hidden." The two of them moved deeper into the colony, the air thick with the scent of ozone and machinery. Caden's eyes darted from control panels to darkened hallways, remembering the stories of explorers lost in uncharted colonies. But Lyria's calm, controlled presence kept him focused. He still couldn't decide if he hated or admired her. Suddenly, the monitors flickered. Lights dimmed and brightened in irregular patterns. Caden froze. "That's not normal." "Exactly," Lyria said. She tapped the console, bringing up a holographic map of the colony. Dots flickered on the map, moving in ways that didn't match human or known alien movements. "Sensors are picking up life signs," she said. "But they're inconsistent. Something is masking them." Caden swallowed. "Masked? Like invisible?" "Something like that." Lyria's hands moved over the controls, activating scanning modules he had never seen before. The ship had been advanced, yes, but the colony's technology was older. Even so, Lyria adapted quickly, her fingers flying over alien symbols as she tried to make sense of the readings. "Why did the Council assign this to us?" Caden asked quietly. "Why me? Why you?" Lyria didn't answer immediately. Her jaw tightened. "Because they know we complement each other. Whether you like it or not. Your human intuition. Your creativity. It's unpredictable. Useful. Dangerous, but useful. And I know the alien systems better than anyone else." Caden frowned. "So, they're using us." She didn't deny it. "Perhaps. But right now, the colony needs someone competent. That's us." They continued cautiously, and the tension between them was palpable. Every time Caden suggested a course of action, Lyria corrected him. Every time Lyria made a command, Caden felt the old urge to argue, but he resisted. He had learned that fighting her now would only make things worse. They needed cooperation, no matter how uneasy. As they rounded a corner, a sudden movement caught Caden's eye. Shadows flickered in the far corridor, moving too fast to be human. He raised his pulse blaster instinctively. Lyria was already there, her hand on her own weapon. "Hold fire," she ordered. "We don't know what it is yet." Caden's finger hovered over the trigger, heart racing. The shadows shifted, and for a brief moment, he saw the glowing eyes of a creature. It was humanoid in shape but distorted long limbs, skin that shimmered like liquid metal, and no face except for two piercing points of light. "What is that?" Caden whispered. "Unknown," Lyria said calmly. "But it's intelligent, and it's aware of us." The creature darted down the corridor and vanished, leaving only silence behind. Caden exhaled slowly. "Great. Friendly." Lyria shook her head. "We can't take chances. We need to find the control room and access the colony's central systems. If this entity is manipulating them, we need to stop it." They moved quickly, every step alert, scanning for movement. Caden noticed that despite the danger, Lyria's presence gave him confidence. Her calm, precise movements were almost reassuring. He remembered how, during their marriage, he had admired her skill and courage. That admiration was complicated now by anger and unresolved feelings. The control room was at the center of the colony. Its door had been forced open, but the consoles inside were intact. Lyria immediately went to work, fingers flying over alien controls, analyzing corrupted data streams and unusual energy readings. Caden watched, trying to keep up, but the technology was unlike anything he had studied. You understand this? He asked, after a moment. To an extent, she said, but the systems have been modified. Whoever did this is clever. They're masking their presence, rerouting power, and isolating certain areas. It's advanced, almost military-level technology. Caden frowned. Could humans do this? No, Lyria said flatly. Not without years of training, and certainly not without access to alien systems like these. This is someone else entirely. Just then, the monitors flickered again. The life signs appeared, clustered in one section of the colony. Lyria's eyes narrowed. They're gathering somewhere, probably preparing to attack or to capture us. Then we stop them first, Caden said, feeling a surge of determination. Lyria shook her head. We don't know their capabilities yet. Caden clenched his fists. We can't just wait. Innocent people could be hurt, or dead, already. Lyria studied him for a moment, then nodded. Fine, but we do it smart. Together. Together. The word struck Caden. After all these years, after all the hurt and separation, here they were, side by side. It felt strange, comforting, dangerous, all at once. They devised a plan. Caden would create a diversion, using his human ingenuity to manipulate the colony's power systems, while Lyria would lead the main team to confront the entity directly. Sounds risky, Lyria said. Everything about this is risky, Caden replied. As Caden moved to execute the diversion, he marveled at how much he still trusted Lyria's judgment, even after everything. She was calm, precise, and entirely confident, qualities he had once loved, and perhaps still did. The diversion worked. Caden's modifications caused the lights to flicker, alarms to sound, and power to surge in isolated corridors. The creature or creatures responded immediately, drawn toward the disturbance. Lyria and her team moved swiftly, cutting through the dark corridors with precision. The creatures were faster than expected, but Lyria's strategy kept them at bay. They finally cornered one in a storage bay. It was larger than they expected, its metallic skin glinting in the dim light. Caden held his breath as Lyria stepped forward, her pulse weapon trained on the entity. Stay calm, she whispered to him. Don't make sudden moves. The creature hesitated, almost as if studying them. Then it lunged. Lyria fired, a precise shot that grazed its arm and caused it to stumble. Caden seized the moment, using a control panel to trigger a containment field. The creature was trapped in a shimmering energy cage, struggling but unable to break free. Caden exhaled, relief washing over him. Lyria nodded, her face a mixture of pride and caution. For now, there may be more. He looked at her, and for the first time in hours, the tension between them softened. You were right, he admitted. Your strategy. It saved us. Lyria's lips curved into a faint smile. And your improvisation drew them here. You saved us too. Caden felt a warmth in his chest. Cooperation. Teamwork. Even after all their differences, they still worked together. Somehow, against all odds, they complemented each other perfectly. But the victory was temporary. The creatures were only part of a larger puzzle, and the colony's systems were still compromised. They had bought time, but they hadn't solved the mystery. As they regrouped in the control room, Lyria looked at Caden with a seriousness that made his stomach tighten. We need to report to the council. They need to know the extent of this threat. And Caden, yes? Trusting each other isn't optional. If we fail, it's not just us. It's the colony, and maybe much more. Caden nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. I trust you. We'll figure this out. Together. Deanne. Lyria gave him a sharp look, as if to say, don't make me regret that. But there was no anger in her eyes now, only focus. And for the first time since their reunion, Caden felt hope. As they prepared to leave Orin 5, the ship waiting in orbit, Caden realized something important. Space was unpredictable, dangerous, and vast. But perhaps, with Lyria at his side, he could face it. Not just as a human, not just as an engineer, but as a partner, flawed, tested, and ready for the unknown. And somewhere in the shadows of Orin 5, the creatures were watching, calculating, and waiting for the next move. Caden took a deep breath, glanced at Lyria, and whispered, "We're ready." Lyria's smile was faint but real. Then, "Let's not waste time,"